That's why runners are always really skinny people. What's up guys, so Anthony here. So do you know you could spend a whole year or more lifting weights and still look exactly the same? And how do I know this? Because that was me exactly a year after I decided to go into fitness. I was hitting the gym for an entire year and saw no progress. And these 5 mistakes stalled my progress of me getting lean and building muscle mass. And by the end of this video, you're gonna know what those 5 mistakes are and how to prevent them. So with that said, let's jump into the video. Mistake number 1 is chasing fat loss and muscle gain separately. You know, getting lean is all about losing fat and gaining muscle. But something nobody fails to tell you if you don't pay any attention at the earlier stages, that is something you absolutely can do at the same time. So I've been in the gym when people say, you know what, I'm gonna lose weight now and then build muscle later, or I'm gonna build muscle now and worry about losing weight later. So that is something you can do simultaneously. In fact, that is something that is encouraged. So most beginners either eat too little, which means they don't build enough lean muscle, or eat too much, which means they're probably gonna gain fat. The key here is to find out early on what you need to do, which is to be at a slight calorie deficit and stick with that. I will say about 500 to 700 calories less than what your ideal maintenance calorie is, and then go from there. Simply just sticking to a calorie deficit with a high protein would simply get you that. But you have to remember it's something you can absolutely do simultaneously. Now, mistake number 2 is lifting too light. Now, I know why people do this. Probably seen videos like this on the internet, and they think, oh, to stay safe, I'm probably gonna lift as little as possible just to get the motion going. But that is absolutely the opposite of what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be lifting as heavy as you can get, but in a very safe way. What I want you to do is what they call progressive overload. You can see me doing it here in this video where I start off by lifting light and increasingly and gradually increase my weight as I go. So what I do is, I know what my max bench press is, but I try to go slightly above that and try and increase that number every week. Not just show up and go through the motions, but at the same time, we want you to increase what your max weight is. Yes, you can lift heavy, but you have to lift heavy slightly, increasing your strength and giving yourself progress. That is where all the muscle growth comes from. Another thing you can do is to track your lift. There's so many apps right now that help you track those things. I personally have a logbook that I use. I physically write everything down and I can see what I did last week and how my progress has been. Mistake number 3, way too much cardio. Now, in my opinion, this is the most common mistakes that you see people make all the time. They do too much cardio and burn themselves out. Now, I'll preface this by saying, if you want to do a marathon, if you want to be a marathon runner, you do you. I have nothing against running. I hate running. But at the same time, if your ideal goal is to build muscle and build lean mass, running anything over 3 times a week is going to do nothing but damage your gains. Because like I said, cardio has its place, but too much of it can actually kill your muscle gain and recovery. I allow myself one long cardio once a week, but most of the times of long cardio that I do is basically staying on zone 2. I have a Peloton. Sometimes I ride on my Peloton every other day to get my zone 2 cardio going, and also work on improving my VO2 levels. That's pretty much the amount of cardio that I do. But like I said, if you want to do cardio, if you want to be a marathon runner, go for it. But what we're talking about here is to build lean mass and also maintain a little bit of size. That's why runners are always really skinny people. Mistake number 4, this is a big one, and that is not eating enough protein. The simple truth is, lifting weight is only 20% of the effort. Most of the bodybuilding comes in the kitchen, and you cannot build muscle and stay lean if you're not consuming enough protein. I'm sorry, that's just the case. You'd be surprised how much protein people eat on a regular basis, and when you tell them to double the amount of protein they eat, it looks like it is too much. Without making it too complex for you, the simple way you can look up how much protein you can eat is consuming something like 0.8 grams to 1 gram per body weight. So what does that mean? I usually go for 1 gram of body weight. So what that simply means is if I weigh 150 pounds, I should be consuming about 150 grams of protein per day. That's just me because I like going to the high end. I better aim for the high end and not eat enough protein for the day than aiming for something much lower. And the problem is if you're skinny and naturally lean, you need to convince yourself to consume a lot more protein than you currently are consuming. Currently, I'm eating straight up lean ground beef and just munching it while I work at home. And I simply do that when I'm on the go, but you can actually get more creative. I'm sure there are so many recipes online that you can look up and copy the recipes and make your protein intake a lot more creative than I do. So protein is very important. And lastly, number 5. Before I go into number 5, guys, I want you to comment and like this video, and helps me a lot to promote my channel, and leave a comment what mistake you've made in the past. And now for number 5, guys, not only did I make this mistake in the past, this is something I'm currently struggling with to today. I'm gonna do a video about it in the future, but, and what is that you ask? Not getting enough sleep. So essentially, lifting weights breaks down muscle. The only way you can heal back and build the bigger muscles is actually recovering from the lift you just had. So if you're not sleeping